And we are back with part 2 of this week's episode of the Soul Rehab Podcast, where we talk about mental health. It is Mental Health Month, and we like to make sure that we touch on these topics because I think a lot of the things that we experience as people is based on mental health. We refuse to do the work. I believe the soul is the most overlooked part of the body, and our soul is our mind, will, and our emotions. But don't let me get started. Let me get you back to the podcast. So let's get ready, get set, let's go. And sometimes when you're dealing with God, and so even in life, we have to learn that we are not our work. Mm-hmm. We define everything we do based on how we do it. You know, we got to be the best. We got to have all this in order. And when we don't have it, we feel like failures. But in our weakness, He becomes strong. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have a weakness, He don't have an area to make us strong in. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's all right. I ain't got it. Mm-hmm. I can't do it.
Ain't able.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, PTSD.
Mm-hmm. Please don't sit down.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. That was good.
Please.
But you were saying you were identity, and I think when you were saying that, we find identity in titles too. Mm-hmm. You know, we lose ourselves in becoming a wife. We lose ourselves in becoming a mother or a father, or you know, our job titles becomes our identity. So that was really good.
Because it's so easy to do that, but it's never a requirement of God.
Right.
His requirement is for us to have a Sabbath, for us to rest. And rest does not actually mean relaxation. Rest is more of recharging and giving Him a space to work. Because a lot of times we don't never give Him space to work. We're God, and He'll let us go. And then whenever we fall on our face and we really give it up to Him, and then He'll come in every time. And so I'm tired of the cycle of that. And I'm trying to learn, like, okay, God, you trying to tell me you want to do it? Let me take my hands off of it. And this season has really been that for me. You know, it was a challenge. Like, it was a mental challenge for me to go through what I've been through. Most people would think it's fine to sit home and not have to do nothing and, you know, let the Lord. That's not me. I'm not wired like that. It was like literally killing me to sit home and not be doing something productive and knowing something that I can do. Even when I was trying to become a substitute teacher, I had somebody doing my resume and stuff. They usually Johnny on the spot. They were dragging their feet about it. I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. Until you tell me to move, I ain't gonna move. And so He opened the door. I moved a little bit, you know, and He's opened it a little bit further for me to do some other stuff. But I sat still. I didn't rush it, even though I felt like I needed to do it. He was like, nah, sit still. And so the mental health piece becomes strategic for us when we learn, and we got to get this. And it's hard, but we have to get that there is a reason why He said rest.
Yes.
It is not because He needed it. He was modeling what we need, and we don't rest. Our mind is going a million miles a minute on everything. And it's like, because I know y'all remember when we used to grow up, you go to, you know, either mama's house or you go to your grandma's house, we would sit outside and talk to kids. All the first cousins and stuff would come over, and we'd be outside playing and having a good time. We don't do that no more. We rarely visit people. You know, even on Friday and Saturday, we either, you know, we done ran all week, we tired, don't want to go nowhere, or we with our immediate family doing something. And so it's just like we have become so busy because of the desires of our heart, and it keeps us from being able to rest. Like, there was a time that I felt guilty when I was resting because I knew that I had something I needed to be doing, but I was drained. I needed to be recharged, but I was going to keep going until I ran flat on my face. And there were several times in the last couple of years that I literally got physically sick because I would not sit down. So
you said something that made me really hot one time, like just literally mad. Like, I was like, okay. It was like, sleep is not the same as rest.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay. Now, you could go to sleep, but resting and sleep are two different things.
Ain't no doubt.
So I was like, because you asked, he was like, Rest well.
Yeah.
I always got to put well in it.
No doubt.
And I really wasn't resting. I was just and you'll know when you're not resting because you wake up agitated, you wake up drained,
Yep.
and so when you get rest, you really do feel rejuvenated. But I was so mad because I was like, "Why you in my business?
It would be like that. 'cause
Why
it's
you
like-
in my business?
Oh,
gosh.
Like, just stay over there in your lane."
It's so crazy because it's like when you think about like I can remember like when I wake up or I feel like I rest, it's like it's a whole different feeling. Like I can sleep for 8 or 10 hours and wake up and still be tired.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, it ain't because I didn't get to sleep.
Right.
It's because I didn't rest. As
Uh-huh.
soon as I wake up, my mind is on a million.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like I'm thinking about what I got to do in my sleep. And I wake
Yeah,
up,
you
my
didn't get
mind
your
running.
good REM sleep. That good
Yeah,
sleep.
when
Yeah.
you just deep sleep, and when you know, I mean, we have to like, even like with social media, our minds are so engaged all the time. It's like something I started doing a little more often is like taking 5 minutes to just meditate, and learning how to take my thoughts out. Like when I mean meditate, I mean remove as much, quiet my mind as much as possible. Like anytime I got a thought that might run through there, nope. I'm gonna concentrate. I'm gonna mellow out, and I, you know, really what it does, it recenters me with my spirit and my mind, instead of me just trying to run out of here and out of there, run out of each one of them. It helps me recenter, refocus, and it's like, okay, I quieted my thoughts, and so I want to get to the point that I can do it for at least 30 minutes. But I mean, 5 minutes is tough.
It is.
Like I'm talking about clear your mind, like
Silence the noise. Yeah.
you just bring
Remove
everything.
yourself from the distractions.
Yep,
Yes.
it's a exercise. But I think we need to do it in order for us to maintain a good mental health. Mental health is one of them things that we don't. It's hard to measure, and it's different for everybody. Like what will make you recharge may not make me recharge. You know, we were talking about earlier. I was talking about going on. We need a vacation from the vacation. I like to go on vacation not to do nothing because I'm at one time.
She got an itinerary.
I do.
That ain't me. We might do it. If we go on a 5-day trip, you gonna have itinerary. You can count me out at least 2 of them days. Because the first day I get there, I gotta get my mind right. And before we leave, I gotta get my mind right. You know, because it's just when you busy. That's why even when you're in marriage, you need to have a conversation what vacation is for you. You know, if I do a lot, vacation for me is gonna be like I need to get away. I want to be quiet. I want to relax. I don't want to do a lot of running. Okay, if you like to do a lot of running, we can kind of shake this thing up. But sometimes you can run by yourself. I ain't mad. Leave me. Send me in a room. I'm fine.
I drove.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yes.
but we don't have these conversations about what it is. Like I don't like with me. There's a time I need to recharge by myself. It ain't you. It ain't even me. I just need it. I need that time. I need to recenter myself. I ain't mad at you. But and that's a discussion I would have with my wife. Like, look, there's gonna be a time it ain't you. I need to recharge, and it's just me. And everybody ain't like that.
Right.
You know,
That's
some
so true.
people are. What do you call people that love people? What's the word for them?
I don't know.
You know, it's introvert and extrovert.
Extroverts.
So I'm an introvert.
Me too. Yes.
I need me time
Yes.
to recharge.
Yeah.
Other people need to be around people to recharge. That ain't me. You know what I mean? And there ain't nothing wrong with either one of them. You just need to
Right.
know which one you are.
That's right.
And so, like, if I withdraw, it ain't because I'm mad. It's because I need to get my thoughts together. And so I think with mental health, you need to make sure you know certain things about you. You need to know what recharges you. You need to know what frustrates you. So when you in a relationship or you around a group of people, community, we talked about that today in the class. Community is big because what community does, it shows you how far you've grown,
That's
how
right.
far you matured and stuff. Because when you're around people, your level of tolerance of being frustrated with them can show you what area you need to be matured in. Or being around them, they can see something that they, you know, a lot of times we don't see a lot of stuff about ourselves because we're around ourselves all the time. So, man, people like, man, well, you be a little ill when you do such. You're like, no, I don't. I'm like, no, you really do. Then when you hear it from somebody else, like, okay, I'm going to look into this. Because maybe it's an area I need to grow in. So community helps you adjust the people, help see where you at. Because some stuff shouldn't really frustrate us as much as it does. You know, people are going to get on our nerves, but it shouldn't get to the point. Yeah, and that's one of my jobs. I love to get on people's nerves. Because it's sometimes getting on somebody's nerves, it's a push.
It is.
It's like, no, you need to do this. Like, for example, if we hadn't pushed y'all to do this podcast,
Here
like,
we go.
where would we be at? Where would we be at right now? Y'all are much better. Y'all are much better at this stuff. Y'all really thought you have started to drive the podcast up, and I can sit back and be foolish. Y'all have grown. Y'all have grown so much. But if we hadn't pushed Francis in front of the camera, we hadn't pushed Anisha to speak and give her mind in her own way, because it's a flavor. Everybody adds a different flavor to the podcast, and as long as we be who we are, the podcast is successful because we learn to be who we are. We learn to be able to express your thoughts a little more freer. You ain't got to have, because right now, you know, we off and on script whenever we feel like it. But because, you know, we've been talking about stuff lately that we kind of know, and we feeling we just giving an experience for it. So sometimes our podcast is really us talking through what we going through. So it's really a vulnerable session of the podcast, because I think until we learn to express what we feel, what we see, and what we think about other people, then you able to shape and mold the people that's around you. Like, I hear stuff that you say that helps me, like, I hadn't thought about it like that. Same thing with Anisha. But we don't do that if we don't grow into who we are. I believe that God puts people around you for you to grow in mental health, because they drive me crazy. But but mental health is like one of them things. It's like it's a real challenge to be around people and learning to be yourself. I think trying to fit in sometimes is such a chore. That's why sometimes people don't like going to church. And they feel like they got to be a certain way to be in church.
I fit in with a clique.
You know, but if you can go somewhere you can be yourself, you don't mind, because it's like, I can be myself.
That's right.
I ain't trying to put on the front. And to me, that's one of the biggest mental challenges that we face now.
Taking off the mask.
Yeah, taking off the mask. It's like, if I can be myself at church, which I can, I'm just making a comment, I ain't gonna mind going. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I ain't got to come to church today faking if I don't feel right. You know, my team gonna come and like, "What, you good?" or whatever. You know, I ain't got to come up here and act like I'm perfect, because I know I ain't. Because everybody at the church talk about what they used to do and what they doing now and what they struggling with. I feel, you know what I'm saying, I don't feel like it's only me.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with mental health when we don't address it. It's a only me situation.
You said something about withdrawing, and there's going to be a time when you need time to recharge. I have had this discussion almost every week for the past 5 months with somebody in some form, where a lot of people take offense to you not answering texts or answering phone calls or calling for a few days. Like, we know each other. We know what it takes, and we know when to address.
Right.
Like, say, hey girl, like she said, we haven't heard from you, but I really had, like, last week to tell this girl, like, you taking offense to something that had nothing to do with you. When I leave my job, when I get home, I don't talk to anybody.
Right.
Not even my mama sometimes. Like, I just don't answer the phone or respond to text until I feel like I've had time to decompress.
Right.
Like, I don't need people to take that personally.
Yeah.
That's my way of making sure I don't get overwhelmed. And that's that little self-healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it.
We all have to take some time to work on, to do that. Because, right now, you in the school system, so I know you need some decompressed time.
Ain't no doubt about that.
Off.
I do. I really do. And I find, like, for some reason, when I come home, I usually have to take a shower, right? Because nobody's going to bother me for a few minutes.
Right.
You know, and I usually find myself, like, sometimes my son will go, man, you got on your and do head bonnet pajamas and do, but because I need that alone time for a minute, time to hear from God, time to talk for God. Nobody gonna bother me when I'm in the bathroom, that kind of thing. But I was thinking about something earlier. I think when Tyrone was talking, and this is I think on my mother's death anniversary, my best friends, they always check up on me. I don't never have to be like, hey, or whatever. They're like, you good, sis? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm in my feelings. But they always, or Mother's Day, they were like, are you okay? But they already understand that this is a period. It's kind of hard for me. They're going to check on me, and somebody said something on Facebook and it was so kind, again, I say this all the time. I love to see anybody celebrate anybody. But sometimes on Mother's Day, when you see other people with their mothers, you get that sense of sad where you start missing them. But somebody made a comment about for the ones that don't have mothers to share with Mother's Day or something on Facebook. But it was so genuine, and I was like, thank you. Mm-hmm. They get it, but, and I think I've seen so many Christians in the church be depressed, and because they feel like they're saved, they feel like they have to hide it. Mm-hmm. They feel like they can't talk about it, and we call it functional depression. Mm-hmm. And it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. But and I would, people appear like they have everything together, but they really are crumbling on the inside and not know how to address it. Mm-hmm. And I think we talked about this before. How do you ask for help? And I guess that would be something that I think we could talk about for mental health. How do you ask for help?
So there's two ways. And the simplest way is I need help, right? Mm-hmm. But we ain't not gonna do that.
No.
So
especially men.
Yeah, no doubt. Because I mean, as a man, I think, and we talk about this a lot, and I think because y'all really get it, like there is a weight that comes with being a man that is different from a woman.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but there is a weight put upon you by the Lord. God intended us to carry some weight that women are not supposed to be carrying. And so, and I said before, when something go wrong in the house, it's always the man's fault. I don't care whether he is or not. Everybody gonna look at the man because you looked at as the head of the household regardless. And so, I don't know what that is, but anyway.
Someone just texted me. She was like, she sent me a picture of a watch and pointed like time to go home. Like we've been talking too long.
Hey man, she told us 30 minutes. She said we all be getting 30 minutes today for the podcast. She's telling us that it's time to wrap this up. That's what she said.
She said she was tired.
She tired.
Oh my God.
She said she'd have been to 4 cities today and she tired. She ready to come home.
This laugh is good for our mental health.
Like, I guess I'm gonna hurry up and protect her mental health. But it's just
sit stressed. And sit ready to go rest. Rest well.
She ready to rest.
Yes.
And she is not the only one because I am in that mode myself.
Yeah, I understand.
It was just funny because of the little emojis in the picture.
Ooh, honey.
So I guess we ain't got.
You better wrap this up, T.
I don't want no smoke.
Not from this Obear. Look, that's a different beast than this Obear. It's a different beast.
We do not want no smoke.
Oh God, tears.
That's something else that's very good for mental health. A good laugh.
Yes, most
a good
definitely.
laugh will help clear.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Like, my pastor said it all the time, but when he said it, it's like you never think about it. But it's like when you get a good laugh, you be like, "Woo,
Yes.
I needed that."
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I just think I think the biggest problem with me with mental health, and I'll speak from my perspective, is that it always comes with a seem like you weak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you always feel, especially when you the strong one. You the one. You know what I mean? You that one. You that one. And so it always seems like you got to have it together because everybody else needs you to have it together. And so then when you have moments and stuff, it's like, how do I express it? How do I be weak to people who expect me to be strong? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, especially for men, it's hard. And I think it's dangerous because you can fall into a dark place, and it's hard to come out because you're going to feel alone because you can't tell nobody. You know what I mean? And so that's one thing I will say about us. Now we feel like it's big. So sometimes you can feel like, you know what I mean? Like, one time we get rid of cord and I like,
you need a hug.
Yeah.
I do. I really do.
I was like, come here.
I really need a hug. Like, really.
And it won't, she didn't say nothing. I just sensed it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you can feel that, but it's like, how do we handle that and still not? And I'm going to tell you what it just dropped in my spirit. I'm going to tell you, be vulnerable. Allow people to know what you're going through because there's somebody who need to hear what you're going through so they can go through.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like sometimes you have to be weak to be strong, and we don't like that because we want everybody to think. And I don't even think it's purposeful for us that when we do that. I think it's like, man, everybody expect me to have it together. I gotta have it together. I don't, so I got to get it together. And so you put on your mask and go out here, and you'll be strong for everybody, and you dying on the inside.
Yep.
And so I just getting used to, even when you in a good mood, sometimes you talk about that stuff to let people know, like, man, you really go through that, because it's crazy. When you talk to somebody about something, and you tell them what you like, man, you go through that. I'm like, yeah, I go through that. Like, man, I can't tell. Like, what? You know what I mean? I don't have it. I don't always have it together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I
don't have to.
Yeah. And to me, that's the biggest problem with mental health: the inability of us to be vulnerable and let people know we don't always have it together.
Yes.
Because, of course, there gonna be some people who gonna try to use it against you, but there is a demographic of people who need to hear that.
Right.
Because they look at you like that and they think something is wrong with them because they don't always have it together, not knowing that. In your mind and in your heart, you ain't even got it together.
Right.
I'm trying to hold it together so I can deal with you. But that's the part of mental health that we got to get by. Especially women are a little bit better than men, unless you the strong one. The person, whoever the most definitely the strong one in the family is the one you need to check on. Because we know, you know what I'm saying? It's like we know that we have to be a certain way. But I've gotten to the point. I've gotten to the point that I don't have to be that guy no more. Like, look, y'all gonna have to figure out some stuff on your own.
Yeah.
It ain't that I don't love you. It's that if I don't replenish myself, I can't pour.
Right.
And when it becomes detrimental to who you are and how you operate, you got to pull back because God told me I'm not their God.
That's right.
And he said, as long as you keep trying to take my place, they won't get in place. And so we got to get out of their way. Again, it's the prodigal son. His daddy gave him everything he wanted. He gave it to him. He wanted to squander it. He got fat on his face. He was in the pig pen. He said, the slaves at my daddy's house get treated better than that. So I'm going to go back to my daddy's house and be a slave. So when he came, my favorite part is when he came to himself.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And I think a lot of times, even in mental health, we will not allow people to have their prodigal son moment because we trying to carry him. We sow, we water, God get an increase.
Yes.
Quit trying to carry everybody because we're not God. We're not the source He is. We're a resource, and resources give out sometimes and need to be replenished.
Absolutely.
That's so true.
And that's the whole point of mental health is recognizing that you run out. You need to be replenished. You need to be renewed. You need to be refreshed.
Yes.
Because you can't pour from an empty pitcher. No matter.
And sometimes I love, especially that episode we did on unlearning church stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and over these last few years, I've had to unlearn a lot of things, like expectations and different things, and find myself in God's word and what His expectations of me are, instead of versus what people's expectations are.
All right.
So.
You just want to tell you to slow down all the time too. My expectation is for you to not try to do everything for everybody. Let them learn to do things for themselves.
I think
That's
I'm
true.
getting better.
Yeah, I think you are.
Yes.
I'm getting better.
I think I'm getting better.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better because I got to. Because
Right.
the Lord gonna let me keep going through this same cycle until I learn it.
Until you learn the
and
lesson.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like, I'm not gonna keep going through this. So it's good.
Ooh, child. The people say the time up. Look now.
So we're not gonna make the people mad. I'm gonna listen. That's one thing I've learned to listen when I need to listen. And so when Zoe speaks, we listen. We
That is so not true. Sometimes,
maybe her mama don't.
Sometimes
I
we
do.
listen, not all the time.
Zoe a little like Zonnie Bay. Just a little bit.
It was just a little bit.
She's sitting in there like she like 30 years old, got her legs crossed.
Lord, look at that foot, Jesus!
Look, was the foot wagging?
Like, if you don't bring your butt
You might get a whooping today. Best friend.
Oh God! Oh, what? Last week, Miss Brenda won it. Man, people been out for me.
Ooh, have mercy.
Oh, this is
She sitting there,
good.
she giving you that teacher leg wag, like, you know how your grandma and them sit on that porch and they sitting down there waiting. What she done? That's the look we getting right now. So we're gonna cut this thing off. Cause I don't want no problem. We're gonna make Zoe go home, get some rest at 8 o'clock. She got a long day tomorrow probably. And if she don't, I know I do. Whew. Tomorrow's Mother's Day, y'all.
Yes, heavy on the Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's light on Father's Day.
I'm gonna behave. I'm not. I'm not gonna act up until Father's Day get here. I'm gonna let y'all have y'all day and have it in peace.
Yes.
You know, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Are they gonna say Happy Mother's Day to the fathers like they say Happy Father's Day? Okay, cut. All right, let's go home. Let's go home before I get you started.
Look, y'all listen. We do, but this is Mental Health Month. We want to make sure y'all take your mental health
Yes,
serious.
seriously.
Find you a way to recharge, to replenish and renew,
Yes.
because it's very important. And if you can't do it, and you say you don't have time to do that, that's a lie. Because you got time. Because what happens is your body starts shutting down. You start getting sick. You start not being able to sleep. So your body will let you know when you need rest.
Absolutely.
And so listen to your bodies. If you do everything, that means you're doing too much. Let people learn how to take care of themselves and do things for themselves. Your mental health. If you die, this is the question I like to ask people. If you die today, who gonna do for them what you've been doing for them? And that's a question that you should ask. And look, I went something for you, mother, on Mother's Day. I want you to learn, especially you single parents, single moms that struggle with young kids. Learn to separate. Give your kids a you and them time. Give them a them time, and give you a you time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Separate them kids. They're not gonna die. You ain't gotta have them up your butt all the time.
That's so true.
You need to learn to do that, because if you're single and you want to be married, they in the place of your husband. Move them out of the way. And I'm just telling you, you need to learn to do that. Your kids will not die because you give them a couple hours to themselves. Let them learn. Give them a bedtime.
Yes.
You know, I talked about that the other night on Single Hill. Like, give your kids a bedtime and make them go by.
Yes.
They won't do it. You keep doing it long enough, they will get it. That's your time. Find you some of your time. I mean, you know, you got your kids. You work all day. You got your kids. When they get out of school, you got to do homework. And then you deal with them all night until you make them go to bed at 9, 10 o'clock. And they done wore you out. And you wore out and got to get up and everything. That's ridiculous. Rest. make them boys go to bed. Don't let them lay up in your lap all the time. Make them little girls have some time and think to themselves. Do something with your kids besides have them up your behind. That's a Mother's Day tip for all you young single mothers, especially when you got them juggle under 5. I don't know how y'all do it. I look, that's one thing I never had a problem with my girls. They were we had time, they had time, and I had my time, and they had a bedtime. Get out my face, go somewhere, and it ain't hurt them.
Please go sit down.
Exactly, you know. But it's important, you know. I think that's something that
absolutely.
if you are a mother and you have the wisdom of that, teach the younger mothers that they let their kids run their lives, and
It's called self-care.
yeah.
And when you take self-care, you're better caring for others.
Yeah.
Self-care, take it. Yes.
Please. You will
know,
think
no
this way.
good to others if you don't.
That's
if
right.
You're not any good for your doggone self.
Y'all have kids, and y'all know what it is to be frustrated. And sometimes your frustration, you try not to, but your frustration in your day can run to your kid. You know, if you're not aware of that, and so your kids still getting a bad rap, and the thing is, you're doing the best you can do. And so
Right.
I'm hammering this home because I know there are a lot of mothers that deal with this. You really need to stop because the kids still feel that. They feel that tension of, you know, they know you frustrated and you tired. And it's just as unhealthy as you know, trying to give them everything that they want
Right.
without giving them a good version of you. So mamas, take some time for yourselves.
Yeah.
Teach your kids to be self-sufficient. They're going to be adults one day. So that'll be my mental health tip for the single moms on Mother's Day. So we can get Zoe on her run.
I don't want to see my best friend with a black eye on today.
Wait for that. Wait for that.
Zoe said, "Try Jesus."
No.
Cause she lay hands.
Look at that foot again.
What's your favorite thing?
Look at that foot again.
What's your favorite thing? That. What is it, Zoe?
Oh God.
You know.
That foot got me messed up.
Oh God.
So you know how important we like to wish y'all peace out
Out
and
and
be
be
well.
well. Bye.
Woo, honey. That foot was